Bye, Jedi. See you later. What's up to all my lights out there? It's Suave, and I am here with Ajay.
What's going on?
We are walking this trail over here. I will show you guys the lakes in the back. I know you guys can probably see that. But we're gonna discuss a little bit about psychedelics and get into that and give our perspectives on that, and let's get to it. Yo, I think there's bees out here. Well, it is outside, but something flew past my head. Let's start with psilocybin mushrooms, because I feel that is a natural base to start on. But to me, I think mushrooms are one of the starter if you want to get into psychedelics, or if you're trying psychedelics out for the first time, then mushrooms would probably be the direction you want to go in to just see the experience and how it works for you. Mushrooms usually last from like 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah, depending on dose.
Yeah. And the thing about mushrooms is, for me personally, the experience gets, you dive deeper into the experience the further time goes along. So as it starts off, it starts pretty light and it just slowly starts slapping you in the face. The visuals and stuff on mushrooms is pretty interesting. Things tend to get a lot more clear.
Almost sharp.
Yeah, more defined and detailed. And I've noticed almost to where you can focus on things, and they kind of, it's almost as if you zoom in, like a camera.
Absolutely.
You kind of get further into it and can see the whole detail and the grit of what you're looking at. As time progresses, things start moving, breathing, morphing. Like you'll see objects look like they're morphing, faces can look like they're melting, things like that. The body high on mushrooms is pretty intense as well. It's usually like a light feeling that you get from that. It makes you feel kind of like this great sense of connection almost. I think that's why a lot of people feel really one with the earth when they're doing mushrooms.
Yeah.
Because of that reason. It really gets you in a light feeling to where, like when I said you look at things and it looks more detailed and defined, you feel like you're almost connected to that. You feel like you're almost one with the things that you're looking at and interacting with. But yeah, that's like a solid, I guess, base foundation of how shrooms are.
The cool thing is honestly, the statistics last year proved that psilocybin out of all drugs actually has the least amount of 911 calls or hospital visits, even less than weed. Because it's like a lot of people feel so safe with weed that they'll go hard.
Yeah.
Where like you said, it tends to be more of a starter psychedelic. There's actually nothing that gets less hospital visits psychedelically than shrooms.
Yeah, they also say that mushrooms tend to have helped people who suffer from anxiety and things like that. And they're actually researching it medically to see how it can help in that regard. So that's an interesting thing if you think about it. What was your experience on mushrooms?
I actually spent a lot of time in the dark. I actually darked out my room and put headphones in to kind of seclude myself to the experience. It was really intense sensory wise. My body felt really intense, really light, kind of how you talked, but very sensitive, and it felt great. But then, like you said, your vision changes so much. For me, one of my favorite things though is the amount of love you feel, like that connection you talk about.
Yeah.
It's like I wanted to call people and share love with them and just give them encouragement and love and like a surge of energy. Like I felt like a battery, like I could go run a marathon or whatever. Like you're just, like you said, the connection is different. It's almost like you're absorbing energy from everything around you, like people talk about, but for real.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
so you're,
true.
I feel like when people talk about feeling vibes, like you've never felt a vibe like you felt with people in that experience. And even spiritually, it can open a spiritual person up more, or someone who tends not to be like me. It's like it tended me to open up and look on the inside of me and what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling more. So it's like, shrooms to me is the inquisitive psychedelic, for sure.
There is a spiritual side to shrooms. There's a connection and a livelihood to it that is all a part of something. Do you feel that there's a bad side to psychedelics overall? I guess you can say with any psychedelics.
I think for me, it's the bad side is the non-educated side. Like if, you know, you're taking shrooms because your homie came to your house and it's just like, yo, take these, I've done it, they're cool. Then you're setting yourself up for failure. Don't get me wrong, it still can be good.
Yeah.
But I feel like all the negatives you worry about come from a lack of preparation and just a lack of knowledge, you know, for dosage and what to expect, and you know, and even having a babysitter, you know, having someone sober there to guide everybody, you know. So, but when I feel like that's taken care of, I think the likelihood of negativity is so much less, for sure.
In my opinion. Recreationally, I don't think it's as beneficial. I don't think it's something that should just be used just because, hey, I'm at a party, I don't know anything about this, I just want to try it. And you won't get the full experience of what the psychedelic is trying to open you up to, or what you could be opened up to by doing it. Speaking of that, is there are trips that people call bad trips. I'll say that much. And necessarily when people go through bad trips, I wouldn't say that it is a negative thing, but I would say it is something to be learned. Maybe there's something that I was trying to show you, or maybe you were fighting the trip overall because you didn't really do your research and learn about what you're getting yourself into. So one thing to note is these psychedelics are all intense. They're not like they're not gonna be something that you go into and you're like, oh shoot. It's not like riding a bike or anything like that. It will smack you in the face, as I said earlier. So you got to be prepared for that, and you have to do your research. You have to know what you're getting into, so when you get into it, it doesn't really trip you out on the stuff that you're experiencing, or the stuff that you're seeing, or the stuff that it's revealing to you. Because some of these drugs take you on a trip. The setting is important. Having the proper setting, all of that stuff is important when it comes to
the people that are around you.
Yes. The fact that psychedelics are illegal in some countries and in some places, but illegal in other places is something that I've always was curious about, because I don't necessarily know the reasoning behind it. Now, I understand having a safety precaution, because I feel if you're a specific age, of course you shouldn't be doing psychedelics, you know, just as well as with anything, like with marijuana, with cigarettes, with anything of that sort, alcohol, the fact of it being illegal is kind of crazy in certain areas.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of at least the natural ones, I mean, people have been doing for thousands of years, you know, even ayahuasca or peyote, like anything on that level, it's like, and I think a lot of it that detached it from that legality side is just the research, people, and the connection to spirituality. I don't feel like the medical industry really gives very much care to the spiritual side of things.
Yeah, definitely.
Plus, it's like, with how effective some of them have been with like drug therapies and stuff like that in certain countries where drug companies are huge, like America, it's also taking money out of their pocket. So
that's interesting.
They're not gonna try and encourage people to use, you know, more natural remedies like that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like they say, there's no money in a cure. You know, the money's in treatment. So I think that has a big piece in it for sure.
Yeah, that sounds like, you know.
But I'd love, like we talked about before, I'd love to see actual clinics. Like, and that's the thing where, like, in America, shrooms and ayahuasca and all this stuff's illegal. You could literally leave the country and go to an actual doctor's office, to an actual clinic, and have it administered by professionals. And, you know, they're, like you said, they're testing it for mental health and drug purposes. So I'm hopeful for the future of that, for sure.
And same here, because I feel it's an experience to be had. As I said, I feel like it's opening people up to something. And a lot of these experiences have helped people look inside themselves. People have felt more motivated. People have felt more positive, more liberated. They feel like they have overcame something, and they feel like they're in a better headspace after some of these trips, you know, that they go through. It's like they get to look inside themselves and see things they need to correct or things that they need to improve on. I feel that they should have stuff like that too, where you can go to a clinic and you can have it professionally done and have someone who watches you, a trip sitter, but someone who actually knows and who's familiar with it and who has been around people who have done this before, so they know how to help you and guide you through the trip. I feel psychedelics are something that should be researched really heavy right now, because there's something there that is almost scientifically proven to help people in a way. And I feel like figuring that out, figuring the benefits and how that can help, will be a good thing for the next generations to come.
Even the VA is doing it. The VA is doing trials with like PTSD people using MDMA or psilocybin. They're using both to battle those, you know, and I know people, you know, and even myself, like, that have seen those benefits, you know, and stuff. So it's, some of those people need it the most, you know.
Yeah. I've heard with the MDMA studies that when they've used pure MDMA, it's helped people to be able to face a lot of the traumas that they've gone through without getting depressed about it, because the MDMA keeps you more in a positive headspace.
Absolutely.
So they're able to be more positive when they're facing a lot of these situations that they're dealing with, you know? I feel like that's a good thing. That's beneficial. That helps people, because it's giving people like, hey, you know, a relaxing way to deal with a lot of stuff they're dealing with that might destroy them or be really destructive in a different case or in a different setting. So
yeah, it plays like a buffer. You know, it's like a buffer between you and your own, whether it's your mental pain or depression or whatever. It gives you that like gray area where you can be like, whoa, like, I'm free to actually not feel that.
Yeah.
But I can try and figure out how to beat it.
Marijuana trips that people go on, you know, people smoke marijuana. What do you feel is the difference between that and psychedelics?
Well, I mean, obviously, like, cannabis has a little bit of a psychedelic to it, but it's it's definitely the least on the spectrum. But I think I could say, you know, it's like smoking weed for this long that I've been too high before, not like I was upset, but uncomfortable. And I think it helps, at least in those terms, helps you prepare a little bit for the severity of a psychedelic. You know, it's kind of, they call it a gateway drug. For me, it's more of a, like, that's my medicine, but psychedelically, it's gonna prepare you for those next steps. Yeah. You know, like I wouldn't do shrooms if I hadn't smoked weed before. You know, or if I wouldn't have done something else because I hadn't done shrooms. Yeah. Not that it pushed me there, but because of what I learned and what I experienced, I felt prepared to try and go to a new place. More than just like me wanting it. Yeah. You know.
Because I feel like that is a good way to prepare yourself mentally, because you know that you're
high.
In an altered,
It's still slightly dissociative at some points, you know, and it's like you eat the wrong edible, you know, you're gonna be stuck and a little overwhelmed, you know, and I've been there. But then it's like you do, just like in weed, how you start small, you know, you take your first small dose of shrooms, you know, and it's like, oh, I got a body high and I'm okay, but I'm not seeing nothing. And it's like, oh, okay, just like you do with weed. Then you take a real dosage and you're like, whoa, same thing with weed. It's that growth process, you know, but I think weed is just as much a teacher as the others, but I just feel like it's so common these days. And because everybody does it, it's lost some of that value. You know, where it's just like potheads and rolling blunts and having fun, where there still is that aspect like where we could still use it as medicine and use it, you know, to truly help. Yeah,
there's a lot of people who use weed or who smoke it to help them focus, to help them to calm themselves, to be more relaxed, and they notice that it's a lot easier for them to think when they're on weed sometimes, in some cases.
Yeah, and it's one of the only ones that has such a diverse ability. Yeah. You know, because you'll have, I mean, if you react classically, it's like indicas are gonna help you go to sleep if you can't sleep, you know, or help you eat if you have eating issues. You know, but like you said, it's like, I like to keep a sativa around for mornings, because it's like, not that I need the motivation or I need to be high, but it's that buffer. It gives me a motivation. It buffers me from the bad things of the day. It helps my creativity, you know, and my creative process, whether that's, you know, my stuff or work stuff. You know, it gives, at least me, that ability to stay fluid, you know, and be able to just go with what's happening.
They said there's bighorn sheep over here. They had a sign. So my goal would be to see one. If that happens, it will be on camera. So stay tuned for that. A key thing to remember that I'm going to reiterate to you guys is like doing it in an environment that's comfortable for you is really important when it comes to psychedelics, and being around people, as he said, that you're comfortable with, that you feel more positive with, and stuff like that is important because they are really intense. And the next one that we're going to talk about, I haven't had my experience with, but Ajay's had experience with, so he can explain a lot more on this, but it's acid. From the conversations that I've had with people about LSD and the effects have been really profound, if I was to say. They've talked about how they look at life a lot differently, or how it almost seems like an, oh my God.
It's a boat?
Interrupted me. You hear that? And it's still going. The stuff that is revealed to them or it's shown them, or they feel connection to sound. Every sound has a specific feel. And I've always found that to be interesting. It wasn't something I've tried, but I'm interested in it.
So I guess first off, I got to give a disclaimer. I didn't know this originally when I went to try acid, but most of the stuff most people find, like in town, is actually what they call LSA instead of LSD.
Oh, really?
And it's just lysergic acid, which is part of acid, but it's not the full thing. So if you ever try to take acid and you get a crazy stomach ache,
Yeah.
that's how you know you got LSA. It's gonna jack your stomach. Don't get me wrong, it's still a ridiculously wonderful experience.
Yeah.
But the stomach ache can be a little ridiculous. But
Really?
I mean, and then I had acid shortly after, and don't get me wrong, very, very similar, very visual. Just in, not necessarily only in details, but like, we went and played frisbee golf, to be honest.
Yeah.
And you could see each individual shadow from, blades of grass, and like the shadows in the grass almost look purple instead of gray, and so that experience, being outside with the trees and stuff, doing that was awesome.
Yeah.
I think it was the most like adventure I had on a psychedelic. But also, like you said, sound, it's like I felt, for me, it's the most adventure. Like we hiked Red Rock very much like this, when we started the trip. And that was more the benefit I get from me, is that connection of wanting to go and do, and like you said, music is the shit, and colors. I didn't get really drastic visuals like shrooms, but the colors were so intense, so saturated. It was like you turned your saturation and contrast up, And the laughing spell, I had a laughing spell that was the most, me and my buddy laughed for literally like 40 minutes straight. We watched both Dave Chappelle's on acid. Yeah. And it was like that laugh inside my head. I'm like, my face hurts, stop laughing, please. Yeah. But couldn't, but I didn't feel as much of a spiritual teaching with that one, at least for me.
Oh, really?
It was more a sensory, experience. Like I learned, it makes you want to be connected like shrooms does. Yeah. But it's more the desire for that connection and like the willingness to adventure for that connection. But I felt like shrooms hand you that connection. Like it's just like you're gonna plug in real quick. Yeah. And stuff. So that the reason I like it is more nature and adventure. Okay. Because it really opens you up, and like your colors are insane.
So it's you're way more wanting to move and get out there.
Yeah. Like I wanted to walk to the store. Yeah. I wanted to go, because we started out, we took it at the base of the mountain at Red Rock, and then climbed Red Rock, and I looked at it, I said, bro, at one point I'm too high for how high we are. I definitely like doing things on acid where like shrooms, I want to be home and in an environment, or, same with some of the stronger ones. It's like I'm trying to be home and build an environment where like I would, if, hypothetically, I would do acid on this trail. Yeah. Because we're out here and just enjoying the breeze and stuff like that.
Very interesting. It seems like a different experience. And that's the good thing about each psychedelic. They all have different experiences. And oh my God, this tunnel looks crazy. You gotta
so fire.
What is that? Look. What? I've never been on this trail, but this trail is already a hype 10. Yeah, it's crazy. We are in the tunnel. I don't know if you guys can see us, but if you can't,
Backlit like crazy.
yeah, yeah. If you can't see us, you'll see us on the other part. Oh my God. We got him, y'all.
We got him.
Since you've had experiences on shrooms and acid, which experience would you prefer?
I think, like, honestly, if you had both in your hands, I'd probably take shrooms out of the two. That connection, I enjoy the spiritual side and the therapy side of psychedelics, and shrooms is definitely more help and more therapeutic than acid.
Next one that we will talk about is that we've had an experience with, the DMT, and that's actually one of the strongest ones besides ayahuasca and
5-MeO.
Yeah, 5-MeO, which I've never tried that before, but I have tried DMT, and DMT is an experience. I'll tell you that much. As I reiterated and we've said before, it's something you really have to prepare yourself for. Even though, no matter how much you prepare for it, you won't be as prepared as what it opens. Yeah, as it opens you to. So, the best thing to do is prepare yourself as much as possible and make sure that you're, as we said before, in the proper environment, because it is one of the strongest experiences that you will probably have, if done to the full effect. How was your first experience?
My first experience, I actually smoked DMT in like a vape mod. Somebody mixed it in their vape juice and would do it that way just for ease.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. I knew what to be ready for. I'd watched, like the spirit molecule and done my research. But like you said, that's something that's really difficult to prep for. Love, more than anything. I swear that it makes me feel love. I compare it to that small pin-sized reset button that you used to have on like your Walkman or something like that. That little tiny one. But I mean, visually, the fractals and the geometry that you see on your way to what they call the other side, I think we both could say is a roller coaster at minimum.
Very much so.
We both talk about how it's like put in the Doctor Strange movie when she touched his forehead and took off. The most profound part for me is always that it always feels as love. Like I've never felt like any negative energy inside of DMT so far.
Yeah.
But that first trip was probably one of the most important days of my life, to be honest with you. But that first trip, I didn't fully go to what they call the other side. It kind of got stuck. Yeah. And it was kind of like viewing through like a port window of a boat. I was like holding the window like this, like looking out, and I could see it, but I wasn't there. But it made you want to go back. It was welcoming, it was warm, and you just felt like you were supposed to be there.
Yeah. I can see that.
Definitely not as dissociative as like a full dose though. But yeah, that was my first experience, was through the vape mod.
Okay. And what would you say about one of your strongest experiences?
I'd probably say my second trip either my second or my fourth were the strongest for sure. We were doing it on a dab rig, which is just really easy and clean to do it through. And I set music up as part of the prep process, put music on, and I set a pillow in the corner and just kind of laid into the pillow and chilled as part of that process. But that full dosage, it just made the colors brighter. The roller coaster into the other side was faster. But that was my first full welcoming into what they call the other side. And it's a lot of the stereotypical things that people talk about seeing, gnomes and the jesters and the godhead similar to Alex Gray, everything that you would think you would see on that other side, it did. But what throws me off the most is the complete dissociative in it. You have no cognitive, I have a body. You don't even think about the fact that you used to be somewhere.
Yes.
You just feel like you are where that drug is taking you.
Yes.
And it's a lot of people think it's you're gonna go somewhere. I sat there on the couch for 12 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the deal with that drug. Is you're not gonna do this in the middle of a rave and be running around. Where it's this is something that when it comes, it's like somebody face mushing you into the couch. You're gonna stay there. You're gonna go exactly where it wants you to go.
Yep.
And even if you fight it, it's still gonna take you.
Oh yeah.
You're like the little kid in the back seat of the car. You're going for the ride.
Oh yeah. Yes. One of the first things that I would say, as I said before, is it's something that you really you're not prepared for, because it seems almost impossible for something like that to happen. So when it happens, the exact feeling that he said, love being one of the primary feelings of a trip. And that's why I feel psychedelics should be something to be looked into, because to feel love out of doing a psychedelic and to feel an overwhelming sense of love, not just love, just love literally entering into your being, where you just feel I love everyone, I love everything, nothing matters, I don't want to hate anything, This reality kind of melts away and you're in this whole other place. Amazing colors, colors that are just almost unexplainable. And the sound, how sound kind of broke apart on my first trip was one of the most profound things that I experienced. It was almost intense. You have to prepare yourself for that roller coaster, because you're being taken somewhere. And you have to allow it to take you where it's going to take you, because if not, it could interrupt your trip. And he was one of the ones who actually helped me with that, because he was no, relax, just go ahead and chill. Let the trip take over, because it was a strong, intense trip that shoots you off somewhere. It's hard to explain it to people, but at the same time, the thing that gets me about that is how something can bring emotion out of you without really interacting in a way of talking to someone to where you feel this person's showing me love, so I feel love. You just get these feelings out of the trip.
It's almost like everything loves me.
Yeah.
Not even that I love everything, but that everything is okay and loves me.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Imagine feeling everything surrounding you right now is putting love into you.
I think you'd agree too that I think all psychedelics to a certain extent, but DMT more than anything gives that extensive, you could dig deep for the next 3 weeks, a month after your experience and still be deciphering a lot of those lessons that you were trying to learn while you were there. That lesson seems so much longer than on shrooms. I feel when I come down, I got what I needed and I know what's up.
Yeah.
Where DMT, you still got to sit and think and contemplate on it.
Yeah. After my first trip, I sat there for a while in deep thought. Mind blown. but in deep thought, like thinking about everything that was happening and the feelings that it was giving me and everything, all of that. It was just like entering my mind to where I was just like sitting on the balcony just looking in the sky at the stars like, this is all amazing, you know?
Like you've never seen them before.
Yeah, it's all amazing. It's just everything felt like, yeah, brand new. And there was just so much more out there and so much love out there that's just powerful. It just made you really feel the power of love, for sure.
I think that's the one frustrating part too, is the like communication, the trying to explain that to someone.
Yeah.
I could try and explain it to him, but like halfway through, he's just gonna go, yeah, because he gets it. Where it's like, it's hard to explain that like shock and awe, because it's not fear, but it's so shockingly intense and amazing and beautiful that it's just like, I don't have a color to reference to tell you the color I saw.
Yeah.
And that's
true.
the main issue
So
for
true.
me.
And that's kind of what you get from this almost, is like an awe factor of like you're admiring what it's showing you. Like I am in constant awe and shock, you know? But it's just hard to put that, because it's deeper than that, but it's hard to put that in a direct context to where people could actually
Get it.
Yeah, they're saying something that almost seems impossible to see.
Yeah,
So,
like your comprehension, like that thought process of like, what is this? What is that? What is this? What is that? But at like 10,000 miles an hour, you're just like, what?
And even going on that to the next one, which would be ayahuasca, which is really strong, and I don't have experience with that, but they say that one can last like
12 hours.
Yeah.
And that's where it
12
comes from, too.
Yeah. DMT lasts for like 7 minutes, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe
15
even
at
less.
most if you do a big dose.
Yeah.
Like,
but one thing also that we'll add, that I'm sure we both can agree on, is it's almost like time stops. Like your time is almost non-existent. You feel like you're in there
forever.
For so long, but it's only been like a short period of time, but it feels like a long period of time. I still can't believe we've seen that bighorn sheep. I'm holding on to that.
Wow, there they are.
Because we talked about it and it happened. We manifested it. You guys witnessed it here. We manifested it. We said we were going to see it. And what happened? We caught it. I've never seen a bighorn sheep. That was the first time. So, have you had a bad experience on any of the psychedelics before?
I've had bad moments or scary moments. Not necessarily a full trip. It's actually part of the shroom experience I was talking about earlier. Like when I darked out the room, and as soon as I like covered up and closed my eyes and stuff, it was almost like somebody took one of them super bright flashlights and flashed you right in your closed eyes. And I felt it. Like inside my head, I was like, whoa, what was that? And I opened my eyes and I was fine. And I tried to lay back down. I was like, I don't know what this is. But I feel like the fear that first feeling gave me fed into it, because it ended up flashing me like 2 more times. And you guys were actually downstairs, I think, at that point. Like I had pulled my blanket off and I was like, all right, I'm cool with the dark. Like that phase is over.
Yeah.
So this scared me a little bit, but I've never had a full bad trip.
I've had bad moments as well. I think one of the things to realize is like the reason why I think it shouldn't be used in a recreational sense is just because some things it's showing you for a reason, I feel, and some of the bad trips is it's opening you up to something, a different way of understanding, a different mindset, anything. It can be showing you something to improve on with yourself, things like that, and that's why it's really good to take your time, understand the trips, and know that not every trip is going to be all great and all wonderful all the time, because some trips is actually just opening you up to something to show you to better yourself. And some of my instances, I've had experiences where I've had some bad experiences because it was trying to show me something about myself that I needed to correct, and it's helped me afterwards. Like, I felt better afterwards, and I've grown from that. But to be honest, I've never had a truly bad whole experience on any psychedelic ever, like where it's been just horrible to where I've wanted to get out of it. Nothing like that. But I've actually had more bad experiences on weed for me. My favorite, of course, has to be DMT because it was like one of the most profound and the strongest experiences that I've had. I would prefer it over anything else because I feel like it's helped me, and it kind of revealed to me a lot of things. It motivated me and kind of got me in a really good mindset to kind of push for something and really work towards something. I felt like it opened me up to be a better person almost, which is kind of crazy to say about a psychedelic, but yeah, that's happened. And but yeah, what happened on the trip was, it was the beginning of the trip, and I had heard his voice last. His voice was the last thing I heard, and I heard his voice breaking up in sound. It's like sound breaking up, and almost was like slowing down slowly. And then this light came through my vision almost like veins, and as soon as that light started coming through, it almost exploded with this fractal shape, and I was shooting through these fractals that had all these colors that were unexplainable, and it was like this tunnel almost, and unexplainable colors, shapes, like it almost looked like language and letters in this pattern, and anytime I would look at a pattern, I would shoot off through that direction and start going deeper into it. It was like tunnels after tunnels of this pattern that seemed almost alive, like it was speaking to me. And this was all everywhere. It was like I couldn't see anything, I couldn't hear anything. I heard this buzzing, almost like a like a like noise. It was colors everywhere, there's patterns everywhere, beneath me, in front of me, and I was just shooting down these patterns, and that's where I've got this overwhelming feeling of love. And then when I shot open my eyes, those patterns were still everywhere in front of me. I was going through all of them. It was on the floors, on the walls. It was almost like I couldn't even associate with the people that were around me because I was so immersed in this world that was overlapped over the people, over my vision. I looked at the floor, and the floor looked like water almost, like it was like floating like seaweed almost. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen, and just the experience and the feeling that I've got from that, it was like a really strong and powerful thing. So for me, that was my experience on that.
I mean, mine's definitely DMT too. Yeah. I think one of the biggest lessons and the heaviest stuff I saw was I had actually opened my eyes to try and take a breath or whatever you want to consider it, and I saw normal for a brief second, and then across the floor it basically looked like one of those flat escalators at the airport, but it was this vibrant red. And as it came towards me, everything from the room kind of disappeared as it got closer. And right where it got to about where my feet were, it dove straight down into just like an endless black pit. And it turned into a square walkway that descended as deep as you could possibly see or whatever you consider it. And there was just little red people just walking their way down this giant walkway, and I just went straight down the middle of the square. Shoot, straight down the middle of it, and it was just this, it was a moment where it felt as if I was seeing the people on their normal, daily, everyday path. the normal, whether you want to call it the American dream or whatever, your normal path. And it was kind of showing me I had a choice to follow that path or not. You know, right before it basically nosedived me straight through the square into, you know, like the next section of your trip. One of the most intense, like visually, but also like the message I got from it was just ridiculous. So it's definitely DMT for me too.
Like you said it before, when you have done it, you kind of understand what someone's perspective is and what they're seeing and going through. So just hearing it was like, whoa. And then every time someone tells their story, it just gets more so in depth, and like they have a better understanding of it, you know? Like even just him saying like it was like he was seeing that he had a choice between the everyday life and choosing a different course. And just that was like, whoa, like I didn't even, you know, understand that, but that makes perfect sense, you know, like hearing that story. So it's amazing to see people's stories and what they go through. We actually turned around on the trip. We're heading back now. We made it to the, as you saw, the little edge part. We didn't want to walk any further because we've been going at this for a long time, as you can see.
But the last thing I'd say about DMT, to be honest, is something you told me before either of us ever got DMT, was a lot of people believe that DMT is given to you the first time and not purchased. And I think that's why I was so trusting in my first experience, was because it was given to me. Like I said, he just carries it in his vape and he just handed it to me and offered me that experience. You know, and in turn, once I actually bought it, you know, I made sure to call you. It's also the one that almost pushes it's like a community. Like you talk about like how he understands a little bit more than maybe you guys will. It's like, that's part of it. Like it's almost like a Boy Scout badge. Like,
you get it.
You know, you're gonna be able to comprehend my story. You know, we share something. Be ready for that experience, but be prepared.
This is what you'll probably hear a lot if you look for DMT. They'll say, DMT will find you. You'll hear that a lot. DMT will find you. Like when your time is, when it's ready, DMT will find you. And it's a true thing. It finds you. You'll be like wanting to search for it, and it'll probably be hard to find. And then out of nowhere, it just pops onto your lap like, oh yeah, I got DMT. And you're like, what? What is your overall thoughts on all psychedelics in general?
I view them as a tool. For me, it's like I said, shrooms gives me a connection that's unique to itself, you know, and DMTs is different. So for me, I mean, the base level, it's like I enjoy medicating with cannabis every day. You know, that's a coping mechanism. It helps the creative process. But, you know, if I'm struggling, what I would say is, like we've already said, do your research first.
Yeah.
But I would want people to be open to that experience because of the help it can have.
Yeah.
I just feel like the farther and farther we can get away from the ignorance of it and just, you know, downing a quarter of shrooms at a party and doing dumb shit like that. It's like, don't get me wrong, I don't judge anybody's means of enjoyment, but if you're trying to grow and use it as a tool, if you educate yourself and you're careful, but like we've both said, it's like enter into that relationship carefully. You know, it's like all of these things deserve respect at the end of the day.
Nice.
And a lot of them have that spiritual aspect, like even DMT coming from ayahuasca, like, you know, the Peruvian people call her Mother Ayahuasca. Like that, there's a spiritual stance behind that. So it's like, that's why I even still believe in the stance in DMT, because of that being the source. The majority of people that I would say to try it are just open-minded people that are looking to truly grow within themselves.
Yeah.
It's like, I think anybody that wants that should at least consider psychedelics. But I do love the clinical trials. That's something I want to see non-stop, like the MDMA and all that stuff. Like I want to see that for real.
To keep growing. And
because that's in a clinical sense where like
helpful.
That's something super awesome.
I 100% agree with everything he just said just now. I'm 100% on board with everything. I kind of don't even have anything to add to that because that was a great answer. I feel you need to be of the proper age and use it wisely. And he put it so well in the words, is to really respect the experience and the psychedelic itself, because it needs to be handled with that respect, care, safety, and not recklessly, you know, because recklessly won't give you the full experience of what I feel it's trying to show you. Just know sometimes maybe it's not for you, or maybe it's not your time to do it. So if you try it and it's not for you, it's okay to be like, hey, this is not for me, this is not my thing. You don't have to do it to kind of fit into a mold, because maybe you're already open. Maybe you're already open spiritually, so it doesn't have much to show you. There's a lot of people who meditate or who are spiritually awakened to a lot of things and see things on their spiritual journey as is. So could be one of those people. I would say if you're in the Vegas area and you have not came to this little spot, come to this spot. It's pretty tight. No lie. I've had an experience here. I've saw sheep. I want to see a desert tortoise, but we'll see if we can manifest that too. If we're 2 for 2, y'all,
that'd be wild.
We're coming on these bighorn sheep again, and they're a lot closer, so I'm gonna try to get some closer shots of them. They might be waiting for us because we were interrupting them last time when they were eating stuff. They're probably like, not today. Say bye to the bighorn sheep, guys. Peace out. Peace out, Canela. Made it back. Nice trip, nice talk. It was freaking a good views. This was a good experience, and the talk itself was good. You guys heard our perspective on psychedelics and how we feel about it. Also, another disclaimer: if you use psychedelics, make sure you are of age, a proper age, and you are in a safe environment with people that you're safe with and comfortable with. That is important. But yeah, if you have tried psychedelics before, make sure to comment down, or if you have any advice or questions or anything that you guys have in mind, make sure to comment down below in the description box. Follow Ajay on his social media. He actually has a podcast coming up, so make sure to check that out when it comes out. I will be posting all that stuff in the description box, and so stay tuned for that stuff. Make sure to follow me on all my social media. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a coin flip, hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you guys can stay connected with me and follow me on this journey. And as always, make sure to keep growing, keep loving, keep connecting, and keep spreading light. Bye, guys.